First up. Oh no. Oh, right on top. Hello everyone and welcome back. I am here in my best rendition of what I was wearing in 2004, including the necklace that does still survive. I wore this so much that year to open up what is essentially a time capsule with all of you. I got really interested in fashion back in high school, which was right around the turn of the century, and that is a horrifying thing to say, but I know that Y2K fashions are trending again, and there's a lot of curiosity about what teenagers actually wore in the early 2000s. So I thought I would share my experiences with you. Now, I was incredibly interested in fashion starting about halfway through my time in high school, which would have been around 2000, 2001, and I started picking up any trends, any interesting styles that I could, because the low-rise flare jeans with baby tees just wasn't doing it for me. So I got really into a pretty wide range of things, and I don't have a ton of photographs, but I have some that I will try and dig up and share with you of some of the things that I wore, how I style the outfits, but the more important thing today is this box, which is actually marked time capsule on the end. Because I was so interested in fashion and I was disappointed that my family hadn't kept clothing, I didn't have a bunch of stuff from my mother or my grandmother, I decided I was going to keep the weird and interesting things that I really loved for years later. And now that it has been about 20 years, I think it's time to finally open this box and share what's in here with you. And it's gonna be a journey because I have not seen inside of this in a solid 5+ years, so I don't know what's in here. First up, oh no. Oh, right on top. Oh my goodness. We have the bubble shirts. I have actually seen these making the rounds again. These were super trendy in the late 90s and into the early 2000s. They stretched to really crazy proportions. They are not comfortable to wear. They are entirely synthetic and you will sweat and feel really gross in them, but they're great for travel because you can't wrinkle them. I actually do have a photo of me wearing this one, which I apparently paired it with a crushed velvet skirt in the same colors. I just have a lot of thoughts on that. Next up, we're traveling a little bit forward to 2002. The end of it, I know specifically because I bought this from Miss 60 when I was in London on a school trip. It is just as itchy as you would think. The cowl neck thing, that was super trendy, and I have a feeling that's not going to be the last that we see of the big neckline things. Ooh, okay. We're moving into the peasant blouse era. I have a feeling the elastic on this one is absolutely shot. This is probably the more subdued version that I have. I think there's another one in here, but I definitely wore this a ton when I was in late high school. Oh, this one, like a lot of the things that I'm going to be pulling out, is actually from BB, which, if you know them now, or really since about 2005, 7, something like that, they went entirely to rhinestone velour suits. Prior to that, they had a lot of really fun, fashionable stuff. They did a lot of suits. They did a lot of really trendy stuff. So we're gonna see a lot from them very shortly. Next up, more cowl necks. I called it, where the actual neck of the sweater, I think, might be bigger than the sweater itself. Oh my goodness. So that was one of the things that was just absolutely everywhere, were these giant, like, because you could wear them kind of like saggy in front, or you could put it up over your shoulders and like have a few different styles, but just this giant band of like weirdly textural knitted stuff over a really plain sweater was, honestly, I think that made up like half my wardrobe for a couple of years. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad I kept this. This was one of my favorite pieces, and I actually had my senior photos taken in this. Part of the peasant blouse era, of course. Oh, The elastic still works. I would, of course, have worn this with low-rise, either khaki skirt, or I think for the photo session, if I can find the pictures that are the whole body, I think I wore it with khaki low-rise flared with a big turquoise belt buckle. But the sleeves, the sleeves were the best part on this. This might be one of my favorite pieces. Moving on, we have some sparkles. Sparkly sweaters, that was another big thing. Oh, it is so itchy though. What was I thinking? Oh my goodness. I think I have lots of this from around 2000, probably 3-4 range. It's where I was really into this sort of sweater style. And I know it's not gonna be the last one. Oh, yeah, speaking of more sparkles, these little short cropped sweater things that absolutely cover nothing and really don't do you any good were also super trendy. This, I think I have a picture of me wearing this when I was in college. By that point, it must have been 2006 or something. Oh my gosh, yes, 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 yes. So this blouse, I can't remember exactly what year this was from. I do want to say it's somewhere more around like 2003-4 range, rather than later, but like the sheer blouse. I think this was also kind of when I was getting into slightly more neo-Victorian without actually knowing what it was, but the sheer blouse was really popular. Of course, I, being a teenager in Indiana, made sure that I wore plenty of layers underneath to cover everything, because that would not have been appropriate. I could see people wearing this today. Like this, if this fit me, I think I would still wear this. It does not fit me. This one has a fun story. I think this is one of my more like normal styles. I definitely wore a lot of collared shirts with sweaters over the top, and this just put the two together. And that was really trendy for a good long while, especially this sort of stripe. And this is actually the second one of this that I got. The first version of this actually got left at a hotel on a trip, and I never got it recovered. And I loved it so much that I bought a second one, and then I felt like I had to keep it, even though I barely wore it after that, because fashion goes in and out way too fast. Okay. I did not remember that. Oh, the sounds. For such a lightweight knit as this, these beads are so heavy. Oh my gosh, the biggest, chunkiest beads. I just remember this being the absolute, like, I loved it, but I also absolutely hated it because everything I did with my hands, this just clunked against everything, and I was constantly afraid I was going to break these things whenever I'd hit like a table or chair or something. So, but this was what I loved to take whenever we would go down to like visit my grandparents in Florida. This was, this was my Florida sweater, which I feel really appropriate about the whole thing. Oh, okay. More giant cowl necks. Again, where I'm pretty sure the actual sweater versus the cowl neck. This one I think was very much intended to be like super drapey in front. Yeah, it's a pretty low front, so it's supposed to be like really, really drapey cowl neck out of, again, a very synthetic, slippery knit. Oh, and 3/4 length sleeves. That's when 3/4 length sleeves started really coming in. Right in that like 2004, 2005 period, 3/4 length sleeves came in, and you could not find long sleeves at all until like solidly 2017. 10 years of absolute horror. Do not do that. Like if you want 3/4 length sleeve, that's fine, but you need both, not just one. Okay, this I definitely know I have a picture of because I wore this in a play. It is faux suede, lace up front, asymmetrical to the max when it comes to the hem of this and the ties. Oh my goodness. Full of absolutely useless grommets. Like those don't go to anything. Those are just there. And the sleeves have more laces, grommets, and I don't think I've seen this come back in just yet, and I'm kind of hoping the asymmetrical does not. I'm not gonna lie to you. I swear I just saw nearly this exact top on like the Banana Republic website of all places as I'm looking up linen clothing. So, so yeah, it's a tube top. The other elastic shot. It's a tube top with this piece of fabric stitched to it that you wrap in whatever way you want. So you can be creative and wear it in lots of fun ways. And I honestly don't know. I think I got this from some weird little store, like super artsy store in the mall. It is not. I don't think I ever quite figured out like successfully how to wear this and feel comfortable in it. Tube tops, not comfortable for anyone. Oh, okay, that's what's next. Going back to actually the first thing that we saw, another thing that I picked up in London in 2002. If this doesn't scream like Spice Girls era Y2K fashion, I honestly don't know what does to me at this point in time. This is quintessentially what that era looks like to me. A mini skirt with vaguely 70s vibes made out of all sorts of weirdly textured fabrics. And the scary part is this would almost fit me now just because this was meant to sit like at your hips instead of your waist. But oh, I don't have pictures of that. I know I don't. Oh, I know what this is. This is more asymmetry. So one of the other trends that happened in the early 2000s was kind of vaguely horse, cowgirl, peasant themed stuff, not just in the slightly more like Spanish feel like the red ones earlier, but very much in that this would have been worn with a like gathered, ruched up, probably beige blouse or something. I don't think I have pictures of me in this at any point in time, but asymmetrical completely. Like some of these things I would wear again. This is not one of them. Plus, I'm sure some of you right now are like, I would wear that. That's wonderful for you. It does not fit my evolution of style. Nor does this. I honestly don't know if I ever found a place to wear this. I must have for something in theater at some point. Like, I know I got this on sale, like super sale at some point. Just the giant palettes. And of course, it's just, you know, backless halter neck because those were not good choices. Oh, another trend. Look at this, the sailor trend, the nautical trend that was in. Oh my goodness, I don't remember exactly what year. I do know that I had shoes that went with this that I wore in like 2004, 2006 range. It's probably like 2005, 2006. Seems about right. And so that was definitely the trendy vibe for a few years there. And I had a matching pair of navy and white shoes that I wore to death. And I do believe this is one of the things that I can definitively say is very much trendy. Again, the not so corset top. I think I had a whole suit that matches. I definitely had really tight pants that matched this. I do remember having to give up on those at some point because I outgrew them. There is nothing about this that is remotely actually corseted. I don't even think it doesn't have any sort of like structure in it at all. It just has all the hooks and eyes down the front and would have just been like stretchy over the top. I just would have worn this over a lot of blouses. I was not terribly creative in terms of top options. I should rather say there weren't that many top options out there in terms of variety of styles, so this just went over regular button-ups. Would I wear this now? Probably. But like, I'd make it a real thing. Yes, more sparkly sweaters. As if there weren't enough. When the 80s started to trend, right around 2006, 2007 range, I think was when this thing happened. Just the big dolman sleeve style. I still like that one. I also still kind of like this one. This one's like a really subdued version of it. I think I just kept this because this was kind of where I was finding my actual sense of self with black things that had some interest and some sparkle to them. So it's not the most exciting piece, but I still vibe with it, so we're good on that. As I said, BB went through like a suit era, and suiting was all the rage. And what are we without another strapless? So hard to keep up. Mini skirt style in suiting fabric has no structure in it, so it's not like it would have held up on its own. I swear I used to have to like pin this to like a black button-up shirt in order to keep it up because it's slick fabric on the inside. Like, it's not gonna stay up no matter what you do. I did, however, add this black band to it because it was so darn short. I was concerned. But I loved it. So I added this black band of fabric to bring it down like a couple inches so I could wear it and not get in trouble and not have to wear tights all the time too. But oh man, this was one of my favorite pieces. I was obsessed with this, I think 2003, 2004 range. This was also like my freshman, sophomore year in college. Definitely when I was moving into the slightly more goth era of my life. Okay, so I did try color a little bit. As you can tell, like I didn't do a ton of color, but bright colors, but this... Is it bad that I actually have shirts like this but in black now? If this was in black or like darker tones, 100% would wear that style. I mean, it's just crossover, like big open sleeves. It's comfy. I think this is another one of my like vacation-y vibe things. Ooh. Okay, we're getting down to the bottom here and there's some there's a few fun things left. This, oh my goodness. Because you can't have early 2000s without having some sort of weirdly ruched sheer. I don't even know how to express this fabric. I had way more clothing that had this sort of vibe to it. I definitely like made a pair of ruched pants like this. At some point they weren't sheer, but out of a fabric that probably should not have been gathered up like that. But yeah, the arms are sheer on this. The back is a completely different sheer on this. And then the front actually has just regular old knit to it. And like the weird turtleneck thing. What did I even, like, how does one wear this? And of course none of these things are like meant to be tucked in. They're meant to go to your hips and all that, so we have like more of the band of the weird stretchy stuff underneath. Choices, man. I think this was also another like weird mall find. Okay, I think we're coming down to the last two pieces, which are what I knew was in here because they are my favorite things and I would never get rid of them. When I was in college, when I first went off, I got really into Neo-Victorian. I did not have a term for it at the time because I only ever knew one goth girl in high school and she was super cool, but I was terrified to talk to her. So this thing, 100% would wear this if it still fit me. This is a ankle length lace inset dress. Lace spaghetti straps at this point. There's not much to it, but this, I wore this every week when I was a freshman in college around campus, and one of the kids that I went to high school with got super concerned that I was turning into a goth and went back and told one of our old teachers to tell my mom. They were concerned about me. Oh my goodness. But I wore this thing, this very lacy long with lace-up black boots, this necklace, and then the one thing in here that I made, because most of the other stuff that I made in high school and college should never have seen the light of day. It was full of poor decisions when it came to fabric choices and understanding how to actually pattern things and fit things. This jacket, I think this is like the thing that actually really got me into historical fashion, more so than doing costumes and historical fashion, was this jacket, because it's meant to be vaguely Victorian. It has slightly gathered puffy sleeves. It has that 1880 style collar and just tons of faux glass buttons down the front. A little bit of a Victorian vibe to the shape of the bottom. It's very much clearly based off of some 1880s things. It is out of like a stretch suiting, so it's a little bit questionable in that, and it's just got like stretch elastic for the button loops. But I wore like with this necklace and that dress and the boots and this, definitely the same makeup, trucking it around campus. That, I think honestly, this might be me as like my purest format in any of my fashion eras. I do still wish I could fit into these things today, but I have alternatives. And I definitely had way more weird clothing than that. So that's my early days when it came to fashion, and I did so many other things. I definitely was the person that stitched little patches to the inside of the knees of my stretchy tan pants to make it look more like riding pants when that was super cool with Ralph Lauren in 2001. All of that. So I got really into it, which I fully admit I stood out so terribly living in a small town in Indiana at the time. And I think this was sort of my compensation. I was already an outsider, I was already weird, I might as well go for it. And I am so very glad that I did, because I have these really weird and wonderful styles and a really exciting experience with fashion that goes beyond the very mundane styles of the early 2000s. So if you are interested in Y2K fashion and you want to get into it a little bit more, I highly recommend digging into this way more fun stuff than just low-rise flare jeans and baby tees, because those were not it. Those did not do any good. They were just boring. Everyone looked the same. We don't want that again. We want creativity. Go for the weird.